I've been running into somebody for 50 years. I was in a newsstand recently, and who do I see 47 years after he died, peeking at me from a newsstand shelf? It's our old friend Bruce Lee, the one individual who most represents, supposedly, martial arts. Anywhere you go on the internet, he's still being touted as the most amazing man ever. I already exposed the trick that he used to do to convince people that his hands were amazingly fast in an earlier video, 10 Reasons Your Karate May Fail, Part 5. Watch it and you can amaze your friends too. The event that put Bruce Lee on the martial arts map of the world was a demonstration in the mid-1960s where he showed his 1-inch punch. People were amazed at how this little guy had so much power. First, he had a karate man punch a guy holding a pad. The crowd watched the impact of the blow. You could see he put a lot into it. Then Bruce Lee took over. You'll notice the guy is now leaning slightly backwards, unlike what he did for the karate man. Lee then proceeds to knock the guy back several feet into a chair. You'll notice the camera flashes at the right moment, and then the movie camera zooms out at just the right time to show the guy sliding across the floor on the chair. Now, how did the cameraman know that was going to happen? Amazing, amazing. Now, keep your eyes on the chair. Watch how the chair easily glides across the floor. Obviously, this was a well-planned stunt. Once the guy fell into the chair, it was going to slide away, making the blow seem all the more impressive. After all, isn't that why a chair was needed in the first place? The chair wasn't behind the guy when the karate man hit him. Bruce Lee was hypercritical of karate practitioners and challenged point tournament fighters to tests of speed. The popular karate competitor Victor Moore beat Lee in a test of speed 4 out of 6 times. You don't see this mentioned in the Bruce Lee legend. What survives is the edited film showing Lee snapping his fist at Vic's face and Moore appearing to be embarrassed at not being able to block it. I've heard there was other footage of Moore punching Bruce Lee, but the complete demonstration is never shown. I haven't seen it. But here's Victor Moore recounting that event.
Bruce Lee got back, he says, "Oh, we got a volunteer. Give him a hand." I'm going to back up 4 steps here, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to tag you in the chest, and you won't be able to touch it. And I looked at him and I smiled. I said, "You say what?" You know, to the crowd, and everybody started laughing. I said, "Now I'm going to have to see this." He says, "You ready?" He come in, boy, just as fast with a lightning speedy punch. I done seen his eye flinch. I saw his ear move. I said, "Here he comes. He's coming in on the right side." Punch me in the chest. And I'm not going to be able to touch it. Well, he comes in for his punch, and he punched up my chest, and my hands are down to my side, and I blocked it with a Nagashi Yukasa palm heel block. Bam! I blocked it. Ooh, the crowd so hard. Bruce Lee was a little embarrassed, you know. He was shocked. He said, "Well, let's try it again, you know." I said, "Okay." He said, "You ready?" I said, "Yeah." Well, I knew he's coming in even faster this time. I'm looking at him. Here he comes. I see his movement. He done telegraphed. He comes in just as lightning speed, even faster, to punch me in the chest, and I blocked it. Bam! Bruce Lee reached out and tapped me on my right arm, and he said, "Boy, you're fast. You're the fastest American I ever seen." He said, "We'll try it again." He don't ask me if I'm ready this time. And there was so much noise up in the audience, I just kind of glanced off with my eyes. He threw a backhand strike at my head, 2.5 feet away. when my eyes glanced back, I just kind of swung at his hand like he, and I started laughing at him. And I pointed, I say, here you are striking to the head. You're supposed to be punching to the chest. You're supposed to be throwing a punch that's so fast. And here you are trying to sneak one at the head. And doing that when I wasn't even looking. And I'm going almost down to the ground. So here's this movie actor, you know, supposed to be so fast and blocked two of his punches. And now here he is trying to sneak one in at the head.
I know critical thinking is in short supply in the 21st century, but please try to view this with an open mind and do some real thinking. Let's look at what Bruce Lee did in real life and not in the movies and in public. We have these workout films of Bruce Lee. This bag workout is pretty amateurish punching by anyone's standards. And yet people see him kicking that pad or kicking that bag, and 50 years later people still gasp. Why? You know, it's not hard to smack into a hanging bag that way when you run at it for several yards and then kick upward on it. Look, even then he's bouncing off the target. Every time he hits it, his body is leaning in the opposite direction. This is a guy who always told his students, never kick above the waist in a street fight. Look what he's doing. Ooh-cha! Now what if you watched a boxer throw a punch and he was leaning backward? Would you think he was powerful? I can't believe how people still think this is impressive. And then he put this tactic into the movie Enter the Dragon and made the now famous scene where he kicks the guy. He likes knocking people into chairs, doesn't he? He runs from yards away, and the guy doesn't move. He kicks the bad guy who doesn't even try to block him, like most of the people Mr. Lee kicks. And he does it with that same leaning away from the action, and with that squealing sound. It's unclear how that helps. But this is the nature of legend. People will not look critically at this because they are Bruce Lee fans. Here's another long-distance kick that's designed for visual appeal but laughable as far as combative reality is concerned. A little talcum powder dusted over the pad to add to the effect. And look at the famous battle he had with Chuck Norris in the Roman Colosseum. Look at these kicks. People look at these movie kicks and say, how fast his kicks were. All they're focused on is what they think his skill is. The fact that it defies physics, biology, and even psychology doesn't even occur to them. These people are disconnected from reality. Ever been kicked in the face? I have. This is not what happens. Ooh, that hurt. Oh, another one. Oh, I'm stunned. Do you think this is a believable reaction? Are you a moron? Yeah, okay. It's just a movie. They did it for a movie. Lighten up. Yeah, I know. But real serious fighters don't do something cartoonish to represent what they do. This guy was absolutely dedicated to making himself famous and popular and rich. I'm not ignoring that he had some tremendous athleticism, or good fighting strategies, or simply that he had a cool persona, cooler than me. But he was a cocky upstart who demonstrated no humility and not a shred of gratitude for the sources of knowledge that he benefited from. You know, it's expected in the karate world that the more skillful you are, the more humble you are. Bruce Lee tooted his own horn, as depicted in the recent movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Lee's daughter is now loudly criticizing the film for showing her father in a more realistic but unflattering light. And I'll probably get death threats now as well because, well, fans of larger-than-life characters are crazy. Bruce Lee courted celebrity. He didn't work his way up through the ranks like a boxer and become known because he won a lot of matches. He was a child actor long before he ever started kicking people in the face. He was a guy who later deliberately made contacts in the film industry and taught actors and movie directors for hefty amounts of money per lesson. Is that someone who is deadly serious about his martial art? Or is that someone, as we would say today, working on his brand? Long before we had a term for this, people were creating their own legends for personal profit. And this is why you won't hear anything but praise for Bruce Lee from any famous martial arts people. No matter what they may think privately, they will never diminish the legend of Bruce Lee, because they know he has cult status, and their own popularity would suffer if they criticized him. They are in the martial arts business, and he was one of their own. They are not entertainers exactly, but they are celebrities of a different kind. And this is why famous people known for fighting are thought to be good at fighting. Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Bruce Willis, Wesley Snipes, the list goes on. I'm not saying they have no skills whatsoever, but they all pursued celebrity. Without fame, Bruce Lee would have been just another guy working out in his garage, like I am now. Let's put this in perspective. Nobody knows the names of countless military combat veterans who have killed people, often by the scores, in serious fighting. When I think of this hero worship of actors who can kick, compared to people who put their lives on the line, it actually makes me sick. In fact, I'm going to mention one of them by name. One of the greatest karate men of all time. You never heard of him. Henry Slomansky. Not a very Hollywood name, huh? He trained in an old, serious style and served in World War II, the Korean War, and Vietnam. He had several bare-handed kills while in combat. One was when he chopped the neck of an enemy soldier who had bayoneted him. And only a week later he was shot in the back by another enemy soldier and once again broke the man's neck with his bare hand. This guy had many reasons to be famous. He was personal bodyguard to General Douglas MacArthur during the occupation of Japan. And he fought in an early tournament there in 1956 that was full contact and kind of a precursor to MMA. He defeated 119 opponents over 2 days' time. He was given the title Commissioner of Karate and was authorized to wear the Imperial Seal. That's a very big deal. He held the third highest rank in Japan at that time, and you will never hear his name inside the mainstream karate world. This man who trained the first Navy SEAL team in combat was awarded 3 Purple Hearts, the Bronze Star, and the Silver Star, is not a star himself, and he probably wouldn't have wanted to be. Bruce Lee is a star because he made movies. And there's something really wrong with that.